After going 22-14 through the first 36 games, the 2025 Seattle Mariners are off to the best start since the 2003 season, where they went 93-69. So that begs the question, do we think, you and I, me and you, right here, do we think that the 2025 team is better than the 2003 Seattle Mariners? Do we think that the 2025 team has the capacity, has the player personnel to go 93-69? I'm here to tell you why I think maybe they can, and the eerily similar data and stats that back my thoughts on this team going forward, and also what shortcomings might plague this team to maybe not reach 93-69. Thank you guys for watching. Welcome to Mariner Mojo. You guys know the deal. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you do all the cool things like the video and all that stuff. Mariners are playing good ball right now. Yes, recording this on May 8th, but through 36 games, 22-14 is a pretty solid record to attain. It's first in the American League West so far in 2025. I think it's the 6th or 7th best record in all of baseball. And that 2003 team, they did not win the division, nor did they make the playoffs with a 93-69 record. But if it was the modern MLB with the current playoff format, they would have been the wild card too. I think Mariners fans will just take a playoff berth. Yes, winning the division would be awesome, but a playoff berth would just be chef's kiss. And I think there's a lot of reasoning to believe in this team. Yes, there's a lot of reasons to not, given the previous 2023 and 2024 campaign as far as coming up so short or just short at the end of the year. But with the injuries that have plagued this team so far to start the year, not only on the pitching side, which is one of the main differences, but also on the offensive side, when you compare this roster and how it's shaping up from 2025 and compare it to 2003, that 2003 roster, at least from what I can tell, did not really sustain many injuries through the first 36 games. So the fact that the 2025 team is on the same pace, I mean, it's a pretty awesome feat. And we can take a look at the opening day lineup and 3 different points through the first 36 games of where we can kind of assess how the health of the roster, specifically on the position player side, is looking. Start with opening day for both teams. Kind of take a look here. Some notable names. Obviously, Ichiro in there, Brett Boone, John Olerud. Now, we don't see catcher and current manager Dan Wilson in the opening day lineup for the 2003 Mariners, but you'll see him shortly, and unfortunately not at a good point. At 4-6 on, I believe, April 11th, the Mariners were their worst through the first 36 games. That was the 2003's team's worst record through those first 36 games. Obviously, we know that the 2025 team was a bit worse off, but not by much. It was just a single game. We'll get there in a second, though. And on May 10th, the Mariners would achieve their 22-14 record with this lineup on screen. And you can see that there's a lot of the same names throughout all 3 of these here. Not really a lot of injuries sustained, at least from what it looks like from my perspective. Now, compare that to the 2025 team, missing Victor Robles, missing Luke Raley, missing Ryan Bliss from the opening day lineup in the 22-14 game, and also the unfortunate worst record 3-7 was when Victor Robles did get injured against the San Francisco Giants. After that, obviously, the 2025 team has gone on a pretty significant series win streak, winning 9 series in a row. But there are some notable differences between these 2 teams, and I do want to note them here, but there's also things, like I mentioned, that are very eerily similar. I have some notes that I'd like to go over with all of you. So, comparing the 2025 team to the 2003 team through the first 36 games, team ERA is where we'll start. The 2025 team has used 16 pitchers to achieve this ERA of 3.75, which is 12th in all of baseball. The 2003 team had a 3.89 ERA with only 12 pitchers used, which is 8th in all of baseball. If you break it down between starting pitcher and reliever, the starting pitcher ERA in 2025 is 3.97, and they've used 7 starters so far. The reliever ERA is 3.46, and they've used 9 relievers. The starting pitching ERA in 2003 was 3.99, only using 5 starters, so all 5 of their starters had made all of their starts through the first 36 games. All of them were healthy. The relievers pitched to a 3.60 ERA, using 7 relievers. The best starting pitcher for the 2025 team you could probably say is Logan Gilbert, although I could hear some arguments for Brian Wu, but Gilbert's 2.37 ERA, it's the best on the team so far. And also, he did miss a start. He's missed a couple at this point, and hopefully we get him back soon, but maybe his stats would be even better. He's only made 6 of his starts, which he should have, I think, 7 technically by this point. And that's where some of the injuries and differences come into play here, where obviously the Mariners are missing George Kirby. They're also missing Logan Gilbert for a little bit. Having Luis F. Castillo, Logan Evans, and Emerson Hancock, who's pitched well, albeit, making starts for you to start this year, is not necessarily what you had in mind. Whereas the 2003 team, yeah, they had Gil Mesh, who was their best pitcher, at a 2.86 ERA through the first 7 starts, but Jamie Moyer was making all of his starts. Freddie Garcia, Joel Pinheiro, all of them had made all of their starts up until this point. So health goes to the favor of 2003. One thing you might think really goes in favor of the 2025 team is their bullpen, specifically the man at the back of the pen, Andres Munoz, who hasn't given up a run. 18 innings, 0 earned runs, going crazy, locking down saves. But the 2003 team had another lights-out arm, and I know Manny, a.k.a. Deidara, is going crazy. As I mentioned, Shigetoshi Hasegawa and his .42 ERA through 21 1/3 innings pitched through those first 36 games. Shigetoshi Hasegawa was ice out of the bullpen in 2003. But we need to take a look at the offenses as well. The Team WRC Plus for the 2025 team, we all know, second best in all of baseball behind the New York Yankees, currently sitting at a 124 WRC Plus. The Team WRC Plus in 2003 was 111, fourth in all of baseball. The team had accumulated 7.9 F WAR from their position players in 2003, whereas in 2025, they've only accumulated 7.6. So a small difference. It's interesting to note how much of a gap there is between WRC Pluses, 124 to 111, but the F WAR favors the 2003 team, likely because of some stellar defense from guys like Mike Cameron. 2 key stats that I wanted to take a look at and see how it kind of impacted the success of the team were walk percentage and strikeout percentage for the position players. I wanted to make sure both teams were above league average or better than league average at both of these stats. Obviously, with walk percentage, you want it higher than league average. Strikeout percentage, you want it lower. For walk percentage, the 2025 team, they're currently leading all of baseball with an 11% walk rate, which is higher than league average, which is 8.9. The 2003 team, not as good, but still did take their walks. They were 6th in all of baseball with a 10.3%, which is higher than league average at the time, which was 8.4. Both teams also successfully beat my metric of being better in strikeout percentage, where league average in 2025 has been 21.9. The Mariners are 15th in all of baseball at 21.6. Back in 03, also 15th. Just below league average. League average was 16.4. The 2003 team was striking out 16% of the time. So again, another eerily similar stat, which is just kind of funny how things kind of worked out that way. But there are some notable stats, specifically in the offensive side, that I did want to take a look at, and could be a reason why both teams, although their offenses were much different, have achieved a similar amount of success through the first 36 games by winning 22 of them. The 2025 team has been hitting a lot of homers, 4th in all of baseball with 51. The 2003 team, well, they were 22nd, only hit 32 home runs. But they did hit a bit better. They were batting .272, 8th in all of baseball. The 2025 team was batting .247. So about almost like a 30-point difference there. 12th in all of baseball. So not terrible, kind of middle of the road. 2003 a bit better. However, both teams were exactly 13 points off of the lead in terms of having the best batting average in all of baseball. 260 for 2025 and 285 for 2003. Just thought that was another interesting little nugget of information. Something that the 2003 team really does take the cake, though, are these next 2 stats. BABIP and batting average with runners in scoring position. The 309 BABIP for the 2003 team is pretty incredible. The Mariners in 2025, 16th in all of baseball at 286, so not that big of a discrepancy, but the next one is where you really got to take a look at. Batting average with runners in scoring position. We all know the 2025 team has been abysmal when it comes to hitting with runners in scoring position. They're currently hitting .231, 25th in all of baseball. The 2003 team, unreal. Ice in their veins, clutch as can be, hitting .311 through the first 36 games, 3rd in all of baseball. So they weren't slugging homers, they weren't stealing as many bags, but they could hit with runners in scoring position, and that, I believe, is what led them, even though their Team WRC Plus is 13 points lower, getting hits with runners in scoring position, I think, allows them to make up some ground there. There are some things I want to talk about in terms of the standings and their schedule and some of those little nuanced things of head-to-head matchups. So, as we all know, the 2025 team through the first 36 games at 22-14 were first in the American League West with a 3-game lead and a +31 run differential. The 2003 team, obviously 22-14, had a +39 run differential, but they were tied for first in the American League West with the Oakland Athletics at the time. Now, 2025 teams 8-4 in one-run games, 2-3 in extra innings, 11-11 against teams above 500, and they're 13-5 versus the American League West. The 2003 team, comparatively, were 6-3 in one-run games through the first 36 games, 3-0 in extra innings, 6-7 against teams above 500 or better, and then 11-8 versus the American League West. So some similarities there. 8-4 in one run versus 6-3 in one run games is pretty solid, like a pretty even mark there. The extra innings edge goes to the 2003 team being 3-0 compared to 2-3. But by season's end, that 2003 team would be 16-5 in one-run games. They would go 10-12 over their last 22 games in one-run games. In extra innings, they ended up going 6-6 the entire year, so they'd go 3-6 the rest of the way. They were 45-33 against teams above 500 or better, and then 33-25 versus the American League West. So they played well. Obviously, 93-69 record is incredible. That should have probably made them the playoffs, and it would in the modern MLB. But as we know, back in 2003, there was only one wild card, and it was a little bit more of an exclusive club. If the Mariners in 2025 win above 90 games and do not make the postseason, there will be an outrage because that seems like that should be the barometer of how to get in. And I do think that with all of this laid out in front of us, how similar these teams are, that if the Mariners continue to play at this pace, there's no reason for me to believe that they shouldn't achieve these same results. Now, again, like last year, 44-31 with a 10-game lead, we all know how quick reality can come back crashing down. They need to be sustainable. They need to continue to play well. Their offense needs to continue to take their walks. If they lead the league in walks by the end of the year, or at least walk percentage, I wouldn't be surprised if this team makes the postseason given the offensive success. Overall, I just kind of wanted to look and compare some of these statistics. Whether the 2025 team could take down the 2003 team at best of 7, who knows how it really would work. Depends on how healthy the team is. If it's a current iteration of this roster without George Kirby and without Logan Gilbert, and with pitchers like Luis Castillo and Bryce Miller maybe not being exactly who we need them to be, I might give the edge to 2003. But if it's a fully healthy roster, I might take 2025. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. Is the 2025 team legit? Are they going to be better than the 2003 team by season's end, which would be a pretty lofty goal for a win-loss record of 94-68? But let me know what you guys think and whether or not any of this information was interesting to you, because I found a lot of the similarities to be just kind of like, oh, that's interesting how that works. Then they also just happen to achieve the same start to the season at 22-14. But again, thank you guys for watching, and go Mariners.